Hey everyone, it's Jordan from Fish Keeping Made Easy, and today we're going to discuss our top algae eaters for your aquarium. Now, the first important thing to note is that fish are one of a few preventative measures to stop algae from growing in your aquarium. Fish won't simply solve the problem, what they'll do is help to prevent that problem from happening in the first place. It's also important to understand how algae outbreaks happen in your tank. Now, there are some complex and strange reasons why algae will develop in your tank, but the primary ones are overfeeding, overstocking, and just poor husbandry of your tank. These excess nutrients combined with too much light and direct sunlight is the perfect recipe for algae outbreaks. So if you are having algae problems at the moment, what I would recommend is checking your stocking level, doing regular water changes, and make sure your light is not on too often. Also, make sure you're not overfeeding your fish and they're eating all the food within the first few minutes. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about all the different types of algae, but I will discuss what kind of algae the fish eat that we're going to talk about, so let's get into the video. The first fish on the list is the Bristlenose Plec. These are great, cheap plecs that you can get in loads of varieties and different colours. Now, I will say they are more prolific at eating algae when they're young, as when they get older they start to realise that they can just wait and they'll get some frozen food or some algae pellets, and it saves having to just go around the tank searching for algae. They are really easy to breed, so you could end up with a little army of algae eaters that you could spread amongst your tanks. They also eat a lot of leftover food, so they're both directly and indirectly saving your algae problem. They're very good for eating diatoms or brown algae that appears in your tank when it first starts to cycle, and you'll find them on the glass in all your hardscape trying to keep everything clean. However, with all that said, what needs to be considered is that Bristlenose Plecs actually do give off quite a high bioload, so you don't want to have too many of them in one tank, and you also want to have them in quite a large tank, nothing smaller than 80 litres. The next algae eaters on our list are Amano shrimp and cherry shrimp. Amano shrimp grow larger but are difficult to breed, and cherry shrimp are the complete opposite. I would recommend a combination of the two. If you simply add 10 or 15 cherry shrimp, you're going to end up with about 50 to 100 within 6 months time, so you're going to have yourself a little army of algae eaters. Just like the Bristlenose Plec, they kind of work in both ways to prevent algae, one by eating excess food and two eating the algae itself. These are an easy thing for even beginners to keep, so I would recommend any tank to have some sort of shrimp population in it. They can even go in with larger fish as long as they have some place to hide. The next fish on the list is the Autosyncless. These little guys are exceptional algae eaters. In my experience, they're quite a sensitive fish when adding them to the aquarium, but once they're in there and they're settled, they're very hardy. Due to their small size, they can go in more nano aquariums. However, there are larger varieties of these, like the giant Autosyncless and the zebra Autosyncless. These little guys will spend all day eating algae off the glass and all your different bits of hardscape. Although a great algae eater, the majority of these guys are wild caught. This is the reason why they're so sensitive when they're going from aquarium to aquarium, so that's one thing to consider when you're getting these. The next fish on the list is the Pandagara. Now, I had a little bit of a diatom outbreak along with a little bit of green algae, and I put these little guys in and they did an amazing job within just a week. I would definitely recommend these to anybody. They also can go in cooler waters, so they're ideal if you've got a cold water setup. Now, the only downside to these algae eaters is probably their price. They're a lot more pricier than any of the other algae eaters we have on this list, but they do have an amazing cool colour, and they are very good at eating algae, so if you really want them, I would definitely recommend them. Now, this is unfortunately the only picture I had of a Pandagara when I kept them. I do promise you they do get a lot more colourful. This was only a couple of days after adding it to the aquarium. They do get an amazing yellow and black colour, so definitely if you see them in your local fish shop, check them out. The next fish on the list is the blue phantom plec. Now, these aren't known for being algae-eating plecs, they're actually known for being carnivores, but from my experience of keeping them, they're actually quite good algae eaters. Again, they are quite pricey, but if you are looking for an L number plec that you want to eat some algae and also eat some meaty foods, then the blue phantom plec is one for you. And not to mention, they are probably one of the coolest plecs you can get. Now, there are a lot more algae-eating fish out there like mollies, flying foxes, hillstream loaches. There's hundreds of them, but these are just the ones that I've personally kept and felt like they actually made a difference when it came to eating algae. So I hope you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.